Hello, everyone. I'm Chuang. Let's draw the head of Stegosaurus. Its head was shaped like a rectangle. We have acknowledged this feature when we drew its skull. When drawing the head, pay attention to the fact that it was plumper than the skull, especially the underside of its throat. One critical feature of Stegosaurus is its gular armor, a series of structures located at the throat composed of countless small polygonal osteoderms. Each scute was about the size of a coin or a bit larger. Many scutes distributed here formed a chainmail-like structure. In the early years, the incomplete fossils made the structure here fragmentary and messy, but later, more complete materials demonstrated that the scutes were arranged in neat rows. Therefore, we should note the arrangement of these scales when drawing this part. Instead of carefully depicting every scute, we must make some compromises. In addition, when drawing the eyes of the Stegosaurus, note the size difference between its eyeballs and eye sockets. Its eyes were much smaller than the sockets. When the dinosaur was alive, it had a sclerotic ring in the eye socket with a hole in the middle, and this hole was the actual exposed size of its eyes. Now, let's get started. Begin with a rough sketch. The left is the foremost of its mouth, the right is the back of its head, and the eyes near the rear 1/3 of this section. Now, let's use dotted lines to outline its eye socket, with its temporal fenestra following behind. This part was filled with muscles when alive, so, draw this part relatively plump. A tiny area centered in the eye socket was its exposed eye. When drawing the eye, we should leave a highlight and depict some details of the iris. On the periphery, draw the muscles and eyelids that wrap around the eyeball in this eye socket, making it look like a slightly protruding structure with many folds. The lower folds can be drawn heavier, which can also serve as shadows. A structure similar to the human eyebrow was above, but it was made of skin, and the anterior and posterior ends below supported this bone. Then, outline the top of its head. Let's emphasize the muscles in the temporal fenestra, and use these lines to make it fuller. Then, we show the structure below the nose in front of the eye, followed by the structure above its nose. Draw its beak at the foremost of the mouth. The upper beak was undeveloped and small. Then, let's outline the nostril with the opening at the front. We can draw some soft skin to the back of the nose. Draw its mouth along the back of the beak. Current research believes that dinosaurs such as Stegosaurus had large mouths, extending all the way to below the eyes. When it closed its mouth, some wrinkles would squeeze out from the corners of its mouth. You can observe animals like turtles that present a similar appearance. Then, we move to its lower jaw. The front of the lower jaw was also a beak. Add some textures on the beak and some wrinkles where the beak meets the skin. Then, extend the lower jaw to the rear of the head. Here is the location of its relatively large ear hole. Slightly sketch the throat. You can draw 1 or 2 bony plates atop the neck. The surface of the bony plates possessed longitudinal lines. Its throat would droop downward like this. There were small muscles behind the head facing upwards, and thick muscles on the sides extending downwards. Now, let's use dotted lines to draw rows of gular skirts. Gently draw their arrangement, similar to that of a lizard's belly, in banded rows. Segment each scale on every row. When drawing, to present the sense of volume, we can place more strokes to those lower skirts, and leave as much white as possible in the middle to create a feeling of light shining through, with the center brighter, and the bottom in shade. When drawing these large skirts, pay attention to applying dense strokes when getting closer to the edge. We can always see the same in our daily life. Because it is round, the closer to the ends, the more textures we can see. Then, draw the muscles on its face. On the top of the head, let's depict several large scales. Generally, reptiles like lizards have relatively large scales on their heads. When drawing dinosaurs, we can roughly follow this rule. Finally, draw the skin on the mouth. Good. Like this, we finished drawing the head of Stegosaurus.